to have it connect. Okay, it is recording, so I'm going to go ahead and mute everyone.
And Kari, just to confirm, you're just recording my hands, correct? My table?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm going to stop my video because I got to slide over in front of the camera. So welcome everybody to the first Consistently Creative crop. Tonight we're making the Quarter Circles border by Megan Jacks. It's her original idea, and I am sharing it with permission because she shared it freely. On the table, you'll see the products that you need. And let me show you, I created one of these already with the Christmas spirit border. So the first consumable you need is 3 designer papers, and you can see those 3 are here. They're what you're going to make your circles out of. And the next consumable paper is a piece of tonal paper for the base. And you can't really see it, but I use the music notes. So you just want your colors to pop. You can see how the paper kind of pops off the base. And then you can use 2 pieces of cardstock and 2 pieces of decorative print for the trim, but you only need 1/2 inch. That's going to be on the edges. So I like to show the example so that you can get an idea of, how you're going to use your paper. Like I didn't want to do the stripes on my circles. I didn't think that would look good, but I'd like them on the edge, and the plaid looks good in the circles. So the supplies listed are for 1 border. If you want to make 2, you need to double the paper. Honestly, I made this border all from scraps, and I'm continuing to use the rest of my scraps to make the matching border. So are there any questions so far? If you are, you're going to put it in the chat, and Kari will interrupt and ask me to.
You're good so far. Go ahead.
Okay, great. The tools you'll need are the 12-inch trimmer, or a trimmer that you have. The original border maker system with the mirrored triangle border maker cartridge. I'm trying to get it in the light so you can see it. Oh, it looks like this is the one this is what it looks like when you punch it out. If you happen to not have the border maker system, if you have old CM, the old CM 1.5 inch star punch would work. And I'll show you how when we get to that, or just even a square. You could just cut a square. The custom cutting system, the circles, there are 3 of them. And we're using the largest one, not to be confused with the jumbo circle, which is 12 inches and would take up this whole mat. And it's also labeled 6 by 3.5. If you really squint, it's imprinted on the acrylic. And you need to use your blue blade. We'll be cutting on the inside of the circle. If you happen not to have the custom cutting system, you would need to cut a circle, have a template to cut a circle that's 2 7/8 inch across. And I had a sample here. So ironically enough, when you use the 3-inch blade, it doesn't cut 3 inches. It's actually 2 inches and 7/8 across. And then the mat and I didn't have this on the list, but if you're hand cutting, you would need your micro tip scissors. Okay, I'm just going to assume there's no questions and get started. And Kari you put your question in the chat and Kari will ask it, or she'll reply because she also has the instructions. First, we're going to cut our circles. Try and leave the sample out, but that's not going to work. So you need your designer papers, or the papers that you selected. and you're going to cut a 3-inch circle. If you want to see where it goes on your paper, you can use the cutting guide. Put the plastic guide on your paper and then use the clear to go on top of it to see how close, because you know we all want to save as much paper as possible. All right, I'm happy with where that circle is. I'm going to use my blue blade. Press down on the guide and insert the feet. The blade has little feet. You insert the feet in the groove, press down, hold the guide, hold the blade, and cut. Make sure it's separated before you remove the guide. On to your next circle. You don't have to use the guide to line up your circle. You can just eyeball it. You don't want to get too close to the edge. Might tear at the edge. It occurred to me when I was making the sample that you could possibly stack the papers on top of each other, but that kind of made me nervous, so I didn't try it. And cut all of them at the same time. Has anybody tried that?
Yes, I actually just did a class over the weekend and we can cut 3 pieces of paper easily with the one blade. So
Okay.
it is a little nerve-wracking the first couple of times, but it works. And Phyllis, who's on here, who was on mute, also did it with me. So she knows it'll work. It's harder with the very thick cardstock though.
So if you're choosing to, if you're going to make this border twice, feel free to, you know, fold the paper over and cut 2 circles at the same time. I am on my 3rd circle and we're going to wait and get everybody together. So don't rush. Take your time. So that is it for the custom cutting system. Just going to wait a minute. Can everybody give me a thumbs up if you've cut your circles? I see just a few, so we're going to wait still. We were talking earlier as people were joining about the mat. This is the Creative Memories 13-inch mat. And one of the features that's very nice about it is you see measurements on the outside of your paper, which makes it very, very helpful when you're working on on projects. If you're finished cutting, you can get out your 13-inch trimmer. I should have come up with like fill jokes or something. Okay, let's check again. Let me ask this way. Does anybody need more time? Raise your hand if you need more time. Or put in the chat if you need more time. I don't see anybody saying they need more time.
Looks like we're good.
Thank you, Kari. Okay, so now the first thing we're going to do is cut the circle in half. Now, some people have said they're not quite comfortable with their cutting skills. So if you are one of those people, I suggest you just fold it in half, score it, fold it tight, and then put it down on your trimmer and cut it in half. If you are comfortable with your trimmer, you want it to be just inside 1.5 inches. So if you can see, trying to bring it up closer to the camera. So this line is 1.5 and that line is 1.5. I'm evenly spaced in between those two lines. It doesn't quite meet the 1.5. Can you see the lines? So you just want to be at basically just cutting the circle in half. And pay attention to the design if you have a directional paper. Put down the arm, hold the paper, press down, cut the circle in half. Stack the two circles together, cut the next circle. Hold the paper, press down on the blade. Okay, keep the like papers together. I'm going to give everybody time to cut if you're cutting 6 circles instead of just 3. Wasn't that long ago that I found out about the cutting guide that is on our trimmer. It's a plastic little guide that is at the top and the bottom of your trimmer. You probably wouldn't even really notice it, but it shows you exactly where it's going to cut. And then also on the trimmer is a white triangle that sticks out, and that's exactly where it's going to cut. And you can see it if I take my finger off of it. So, feel free if you need to check something, pull out the guides. There's one at the top and one at the bottom. Does thumbs up if everybody's good with moving on to the next cut? I think we're good. Okay, everybody that I can see gave a thumbs up. So now you're going to cut the half circle in half again. And the easiest way to do this is at the bottom of the trimmer, you're going for 37 millimeters on the left-hand side. So put your half circle at the bottom of the trimmer. I'm trying to bring this up close. And there's shadows. Sorry about that. Okay. And the very bottom numbers are milliliters. So that's 37. That's 40. You're going to count back 3 to get to 37. And you're going to cut it in half. Or again, just fold it tip to tip, crease it, and then put that in your guide or use scissors. And you want to stack the quarters, keep the same paper together. And again, place it at the bottom of the cutting system, off the camera. Whoops. 37. Oh, you know what? I never noticed. It's on both sides of the cutter at the bottom. And again, I'm sure you could stack them and cut two at the same time with no problem. So I've cut all of my quarters, and then we're going to wait some time for people who are cutting doubles. You want to, the next paper we're going to use is your background paper. In this sample, it's the music note paper. You want something with a nice contrast to the papers that you used. If you use light papers, use a darker paper. Let's see, does any thumbs up if you're ready to move on? See thumbs up from, yes, yep, okay, I see thumbs up from everybody, yes. Okay. The next step for the back, you're gonna cut it at 2 inches. Two inch by 12 inch, that's what you're going to put your circles on. Oh, interesting. I did not press down hard enough. It didn't cut through. All right, that one did it. Okay, you can set aside your trimmer, but we will need that again. Oh, I forgot to move the directions. Sorry about that. So we cut the background 2 inches wide. And now we're going to start assembling the half circles. I'm going to line up the edge of my border. I'm sorry, do we have thumbs up to move on? Yep. Okay. Apologize about that. Make sure you can see this. So I've lined up my border with the edge of the cutting mat. And I'm going to pick one of my circles, one of my quarter pieces, and I'm going to line it up right at the 5. I'm going to point the triangle right to the 5. Can you guys see that? Should I hold it up? Pointing the triangle right to the 5. Then I'm going to pick another one of my papers. And let me see, I got to remember what I put in my directions. Whoops, the first number you point at the 6, I apologize. The second number is the 5. So the first paper is at the 6 in the center. The second paper, you flip the point to the opposite direction and you put it on the 5. And you're just centering these papers in the middle of your border. Does that make sense? Can you see it? And then your third paper, you're going to put the corner on the point on the 7-inch line. It's a little bit of fussy moving it around to get it into shape. There are not, I don't have a measurement for the either edge. You just pick the center. So now you've started the quarter circles. And then you just continue adding the quarter circles. I use the same pattern every time, the same papers in the same way. That's right. Feel free to mix it up if you want to, but that messes with my brain. So whatever paper you have at the 7-inch, you would want to put that above. Then you just keep alternating which way the triangle points and adding your papers. And every time I move them just a little bit. I happen to go all the way to the top. Now I'm going to go back and continue adding below.
It looks like we're doing good. There's really no questions coming on in the chat, but I think this
Okay.
looks really amazing.
Thanks. I'm having a heart attack over here. I'm not used to presenting in silence.
You're doing great. It's
Thanks.
awesome.
I'm just not used to, there's just 4 or 5 of us and we chit chat. So it's making me nervous. So you'll notice that they don't cover all the way. So the last, I'm off the page again. I'm out of camera. The last one just barely is clinging on. After you tape it down, you cut it and you add it to the top. So you will get a full 12-inch strip. I just want to make sure I use the same pattern that I used on my sample so, they can matchy match. And yes, I did. So now I would recommend using repositionable tape runner, which is one of the tools I forgot to mention when we were reviewing tools and supplies, and start putting down. And when I did mine, I started in the center again. Feel free to do yours, whatever way works. And what's really nice about the repositionable is if you decide to move something a little bit, it's not a problem. Hopefully everybody's aware of the repositionable paper, tape runner. I think Christmas Spirit came out, the paper that I'm using, I think it came out in October and it sold out very quickly and it's been restocked. So if you missed out, it's available. I love repositionable because it's so forgiving. It's all easy street from here to complete the border. I picked the Christmas spirit because I have so many Christmas cards to scrapbook. I love receiving fun mail, and especially at Christmas. And I save, if you send me a photo card or a handmade card, I save it and I put it in my scrapbooks. And a Christmas letter, that all goes in my scrapbooks. I always start every new year working on my Christmas cards, and I don't, putting them in the scrapbook. I don't always get them done, but I always start every new year. Okay, you can see I've stuck mine down. I'm pretty happy with it's centered on the paper. And I'm going to trim the edges off. I'm going to use my 12-inch trimmer, line it up on the cutting line. Cut it off. And then the piece you cut off from the bottom or the top, wherever it ended up, you add it to the other end. Just continue the pattern, alternating. So I just have where I am, my border next to the completed border. I see everybody busy working. So I'm one of 6 children, and when there is silence, that means danger, because it's kind of like out in nature, danger. So I'm trying not to excessively chatter, which would be what I would do, because I'm so nervous that it's quiet. Hopefully, giving you guys the opportunity to concentrate on the project. I have to say that Creative Memories advisors are very generous. They frequently freely share their original creative ideas. And I really appreciate that. I struggle sometimes to be creative when just looking at 3 pieces of paper. What am I going to do with that? So I really appreciate when they can share. On the screen, I have a piece of cardstock because next we're going to use the Border Maker cartridge. We're not moving on. I'm just letting you know. And if you don't happen to have the Border Maker cartridge, the triangle, the mirrored triangle, I suggested you could use a star punch. And we're filling in, we're adding depth to the border by adding these little V-shaped pieces. They're very small. Trying to keep it in the light, these tiny V-shaped pieces. That's why I was suggesting you could cut a star and then just cut the edges off a star and use those. Or anything, if you have, you could use a dot pen. Just to add a little bit more interest and depth to the border. How we doing?
I think we're okay. Peg was asking for the file. I've reposted it. I'm hoping Peg got it. Now I've reposted it for everyone here in the chat.
Oh, thank you.
But I think everybody else, there's no other questions, so you're doing great.
Phew. Oh, thanks, Diane.
You're welcome. Trying to line it up as nicely as you did.
It's just moving it around. I started out at the numbers and then eventually, you move it, and some of them stick out a little bit further. They don't actually meet in the corners.
I think I got it. I had to reposition it, but it looks really cool.
You can't see that. We're our own harshest critics, I think. This is the border that we're going to punch, but we're not actually using the border. We're using what is called punch poop. What falls off the border. I see everybody busy working, so we need more time? Or are we good to go on? We need more time. Okay, no problem. Thank you. Don't need to rush you. I was really challenged by keeping my paper in the same pattern every 3, do the green one, do the plaid one, do the polka dot one, do the green one, do the plaid one, because we started at the center and worked up and down. While you guys are placing your quarter circles, I reposted the next 2 crops. I canceled the previous ones and reposted them because it wasn't inviting everyone. So if you got to cancel, they're still happening. And 5 minutes later, I posted them again. So the next crop will be next Wednesday. We plan to do Wednesdays, 7:30 to 9:30. Kari will be teaching next week. And she has her project, but I couldn't get the image to show up. So I'll work on that tomorrow morning. And then Cheryl is doing it on March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. And the event photo is the project that she's going to do. It's our goal to have our supply list out by Sunday, so you know what you need for Wednesday. I know I like to know what the project is because I like to pull photos and the papers, and our goal is for you to end up with a page spread at the end. My borders are going to turn into a 2-page spread. Oh, and I did just learn yesterday that I believe this mirrored triangle punch sold out. Kari or Cheryl, does anybody else remember that also?
Yeah, that's true, but it is coming back. It was so popular, they are reordering it, and as soon as it's available again, it'll be back on the website to order.
Great, thank you.
And I'm just going to comment from my next week's class. I'm going to be using a lot of 12-inch strips of stuff. So I don't know if you can see me, but I'm even going to start saving between now and then, even those little pieces that come off of your border maker cartridge, as you are like, don't just throw these away, because we're going to go ahead and use a bunch of these next week. So kind of save any of your 12-inch strips, whether they're 1/8 of an inch or whether they're 2 inches, just kind of start putting them in a pile, and I will be using them at the project next week.
Great, good to know. I'll try and keep my cat off of them. She likes to play with, I have a little scrap basket on my table. I have 2 and then one under my table, and she likes to play with them.
Okay, Colleen, I think you might be okay to move on. Can ladies give us a little bit of thumbs up if you're okay for her to punch?
See a couple
Yeah,
thumbs, a couple.
see a couple
Yep,
thumbs.
okay, all right. The majority. And what we're going to do is the border maker system. I'm sure there's a word. You open up the paper guide. Slide your piece of paper all the way up against the edge of the guide. Close it down so it secures the paper, and then you fold the guide back under. You take your cartridge, insert it into the holder, and then the top pops up. You should punch on a solid surface, like I'm on a card table, and I'm going to punch on top of my mat to give it more stability. And you want to slide it in until you anchor it in the notch. You see the blue notch here? You can actually feel it and hear it go in. Press down, pull straight out, slide it over, and insert it again. And you'll see on the cover, there's a notch, and that notch, you're matching those 2 notches together. Press down. Pull it straight back, insert it again, and just continue going down. People tend to want to slide this down without taking it out, and it ends up jamming. And especially on this project, we want the punch poop. So you don't want anything to happen to that. Okay, because Kari said so, I'm going to save this teeny tiny little piece of green for the project she's doing next week. So now I have a pair of borders that I can put in my sort and stash binder and save for another project. And from your punch poop, you are looking for the triangles, the V's, the V for victory. And you're going to be placing those in between your circles. If you're doing 2 borders, punching one of that border is enough for 2. You don't have to punch 2 borders. And then using your repositionable tape runner, start placing them in between the circles. Where the 2 circles meet on the edges. Somebody was talking last night that their granddaughter loves all the punch poop, so they leave a little basket of it in their craft room, and their granddaughter comes in with a little glue stick and makes creations with punch poop. I haven't figured out yet, but I know I want to try and do something with these other pieces, the 3 triangles that are attached to each other. That I could see that being interesting for like a border box, a journal box, or something. I got to figure that out. Yeah, not bad. Then you can choose to save the rest of your punch poop or, recycle. And if, like I said, if you didn't have that, you could use a star, and you could cut the edges off, the corners of a star, and put those little triangles on. Same idea. Or a dot pen. If you have little jewels, be creative. Okay. Can't get my instructions to stand up. We're in the home stretch. As you're finishing up putting in your little triangle V's, you'll need your trimmer and the last 2 pieces of paper that you selected. And now is a time where you can kind of look at it and go, which way do I want to go with this? I needed to break up the beige background paper, so I chose green. to go in between. So you can use cardstock, designer paper, a tonal paper, whatever you like, whatever you have a scrap of. How are we doing? Does everyone have their little accent pieces down, or do we need more time? I see one thumb up, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, well, we'll wait one more minute. Get your other 2 papers. And your trimmer. And then both of these cuts, you're doing 2 that are 1/2 inch wide of each paper. So you're gonna have a total of 4 strips. So we should have 4 1/2 inch strips. 1/2 inch by 12. I'm And if you followed along with the directions, feel free after we're finished recording to put in the chat, or put in the chat now, or let us know that there was something that wasn't clear, or I said something different. Because even though I wrote the directions, I haven't really been looking at them. So it's possible I left something out. Does everybody have their 4 1/2 inch strips? I see 1 thumbs up.
And
2.
Tara commented that the Infinity Border Maker cartridges would work as well as doing all of that. Thanks, Tara.
Great. Oh, wonderful. That's good to know.
And Maggie Roy commented about a banner for a journal box.
Oh, nice.
That'd be good.
I think everybody's ready.
Yeah, I think you're good.
Turn over your border, and on the back, just at the edge, put I use repositionable. It's the strip is only 1/2 inch wide and we're only going to have an 1/8 inch show. And then I lined it up. The directions I say line it up at 1 1/8 inch on the mat. And then the edge of your paper, line it up to the 1 inch line. So now it's going to be 1/8 showing. Does that make sense? So I lined it up. I'll flip it around. I lined it up at the 1 1/8 on the mat, 1 1/8. And then I placed the edge of the border on the 1 inch line. So it should give you a pretty dang even 1/8 inch peeking out. Then just press it down. And then turn it over and check that it looks even. I want a little wide on this one down here at the bottom. And that's what's so great about repositionable. You just pull it up.
Colleen, I'm using the mini tape runner for that edge.
Oh yeah,
Um,
perfect.
And so that actually works out really well with the very thin slice that you did.
Yep, that's an excellent idea. Honestly, I forget about the mini tape runner. Okay, I'm happy with that. And then you just repeat the process for the other trim, the other piece. Use the mini tape runner or the repositionable. Do just along the edge. And this time 1/4 inch is going to show. So I'm going to line it up at 1 1/4. And then line up my border at the 1 inch line, my strip, excuse me, at the 1 inch line. Press it on down. Is it just me? I can only scrapbook to the right. Like I have to apply everything to the right because I'm right-handed. 1 1/4. And then line the border up on the 1 inch. Ah. It's not sticking. I swear I put repositionable on there. Press it down, turn it over. Voila. Kari, I forget the order, what's supposed to happen at the end.
I think Cheryl had a few announcements to make before I took us off of mute. Or took us off of mute and then closed the recording out. So maybe Cheryl can jump in here with the rest of her announcements.
Can you spotlight Cheryl?
I can, but she's not there. Oh, there she is.
Here she is.
If you could spotlight my iPhone, where it says iPhone.
Hold on. There we go.
This one.
There you go. Got it.
All right. Is it spotlighted? Okay. So I was just going to show you what I was doing mine with gemstone, the gemstone collection. So I did a couple of different things because I used this dark sea green to make the little things that we put in here with a triangle border maker. So I cut that border up and stuck it underneath. I was curious to see how it would look, and I was attempting to pull the purple from this. Let me see that. So I was attempting to pull the purples. So I put the purple underneath, and then it wasn't popping enough, so I put a little white underneath. So I did it a little bit differently, but
that's
I'm
great.
not sure of my color combos, but I just want to show you how pretty this paper pack is. So these were the different papers that I used for what we were doing. So I just want to show you the rest of the collection because it's so pretty. These are the emerald gemstone embellishments, and they're similar to our laser borders that we have, but they're more like a die cut. They're really cool. So these are, when I get them, for a display, I just put them on a piece of white cardstock so you can see all the different designs. So that was really cool. And then these are the emerald gemstone variety matte pack. Also really pretty. So you can see all of the fun things that go with this one. And I believe at our NFD event that we have coming up that I hope you ladies will come to on April 9th and 10th, we are going to use this collection for, I think, 2 of our classes, possibly.
Yes.
So these are some of the fun things. Also, free shipping this week, ladies. How exciting is that? So you can get all of your supplies for your next upcoming events that you want to do with us for free shipping. So.
And that free shipping doesn't come around very often.
Exactly. The gemstone collection also comes, so it comes with the designer paper pack there. And then the tone on tone. So these are a little more muted. And I was thinking as I was making my thing here tonight that it might have looked really good on one of these sheets as well.
Oh, so pretty.
The section that you did underneath. Thinking that one of these lighter ones would have looked really pretty in there as well. And I'm going to give you a sneak peek of, is this upside down?
Nope, it's fine.
Okay. Miss Kari is going to do this at our NSD, right, Kari? Is this what you were talking about doing? She's muted. Shake, yes.
Yeah. Yes, it is. That is what I'm planning on doing.
Okay, I have seen this online. It is amazing. It's a cool technique and it's gorgeous. And the colors of this collection are just stunning, as you can see. I hope. How is my lighting? I got my new.
It looks good.
Light going, Diane.
That's great, Cheryl.
I went over to Diane's today and
Great.
let me use her fun system here with the camera, and it has a little light in it. So anyway, these are the other papers for that collection. So just gorgeous. So anyway, I would recommend that you get both paper packs And what did I do with the stickers? Did I show those yet? Put them underneath. Where did
We
the
didn't see the stickers yet. We saw
I
the,
know. Okay, I
die
did
cut.
the laser cuts.
Yep.
Yes, I seem to. Oh, there they are. Because I took them out. I was like, I gotta show these. They're so pretty. Look at this. So these are the title ones. Just beautiful. Rock on. Hello world. Life is endlessly exquisite. And then just breathe. I was thinking I needed to do this today as I was running around. I just need to breathe. And these are the really pretty border stickers. And these are fun. This is fun. I saw somebody do something where they put these down and then they separated them a little bit. So it made a really cool zigzag border with
Oh,
that.
neat.
So that was fun. So we're going to be playing with these. So I would recommend getting the stickers and at least the 2 paper packs and possibly the laser cuts. And if you love mats like I do, you might want to get the mats as well. Those are just beautiful. All right, so that's from that. And then or when I teach, I'm probably getting too busy. I'm going to move some of the stuff from underneath so you can see the page. So I ended up doing, I'll end up doing my class on March 17th, which is, guess what? St. Patrick's Day. So I said to Miss Lisa the other day while I was working with Kari and Colleen on our call, I handed her this beautiful paper from the NSD pack, which is Clover, and where are the other pieces? The hearts, which you can still buy these, which I didn't even know. We looked it up and you can still purchase these. It comes in, I think it's called gemstones,
I think.
gemstone custom cutting system. So these are part of that. So we used both of these, and that comes in the custom cutting system anyway. So Lisa put this together. So this is in the NSD pack and this paper is as well. And then these are from the laser pack of little embellishments that you can get. So there is a collection that comes with, I think they're calling it the customer bundle. It comes with the 10 sheets of cardstock. There's a green, there's a platinum shimmer, white aqua, and then we call this deep sea green, even though I think it's blue, but anyway, that's what we call it. So you get that as part of the $24 bundle, and you get the project recipe kit as part of that, and you get the embellishments, and you also get that little booklet that I showed you Kari's going to teach from. You get this. So this is all for $24, all this right here. And I do want to show you the elements of the project recipe kit for NSD because it comes with the instructions and cutting guides for two-page layouts. So you might just want to do that. And then of course, you're going to want to do my class where you can make 12 pages with this kit. So we're going to do the 1, 2, 3 method. And you're going to be able to make 12 pages, and we'll be making it with the cardstock and this. And if we want to do my class on the 17th, you're going to need another kit. So anyway, I think it'd be fun to get 3 kits, but if you want to just get one, the one bundle for the NSD, that would be great. And if you want to do my little class, another one. So what else was on my little sheet? I lost my sheet now. But our NSD event is going to be a Friday. We're going to start at 6 p.m. in the evening. And Creative Memories is also doing their virtual crop. So we are going to incorporate that into our classes. And to start off, Miss Colleen, our fun instructor from this evening, is going to show us and give us tips on how to use the sketches that Creative Memories puts out. So we're going to learn some great techniques on how to do that throughout the weekend. And so that's going to be 6 to 10 on Friday night. And then Saturday throughout the day from 10 to 10, we have all kinds of fun classes and things prepared for you. And we're still working on it too. We're still coming up with some great ideas to share. And what else? It is $10 to participate, and you're going to sign up through your advisor. And if you liked any of the stuff that you see here today and you want to order, please order from the person who invited you to the event. And that would be awesome. Did I cover everything, really? Oh, and we want you guys to share, and I don't know if we want to record this so everybody can see, but your beautiful creations that you have made this evening. And so Miss Lisa made one, and she was not happy with the way it looked out because these papers, when they were close together, they kind of were muted and blending into one another. So she redid it with one different color.
Oh,
But
nice.
if you look, she pulled them apart a little bit to give it a little more contrast. So if
Yeah.
anybody picked colors that you weren't like, this looks amazing, maybe they're too close together, but if you just put a little space, I think that really made a big difference.
It looks nice, Lisa. Good job.
And then on the ends there, I didn't like that not having one of those, so I just took another one of those and I flipped it going the other way on the other end. So it's
Sure.
a little bit of continuity.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna ask you guys if you have made any creations to, if you could show them, if there's, maybe you're still working on them, but it would be really awesome to see what you guys have created.
I'm gonna go ahead
And
and stop
so-
the recording, but I'm gonna
Okay.
stop the recording so you can go ahead and take a picture and I'm gonna unspotlight, okay?
Okay.